My name is Scott Craven, and I'm a captain here in the Village of Ossining Police Department. I've been a police officer here for 26 years. I've lived in Ossining in the lower Hudson River Valley for my entire 50 years, and I'm never going to leave. I talk on various topics in the Hudson River to different groups. I have a master's degree in American history, and I wrote my master's thesis on the mouth of the Croton River and how it's changed over the years. Growing up, I lived in Ossining. Everybody knew about the aqueduct, or at least they knew about the shaded path that ran through here. In the 1970s, my mother went back to college, to Briarcliff Women's College in Briarcliff, and for a degree in cartography. And at the time, one of the students' assignments was to assist the state in mapping the state park that was the aqueduct through Ossining. So my mom would come back and talk to us about Ossining and how they mapped part of it today and where they were working and things like that. And it was pretty neat. At the time, Ossining was a pretty densely packed place, and it was different. It was neat talking to her about that. And as a police officer, we use the aqueduct all the time. We walk on it. A lot of people walk on it. It's a common thoroughfare through the village. The big double span over the Kill Brook is on our patch. It's so unique. And it used to be quite the social place 100 years ago to walk. Not so much now, but it is commonly used by the people of Ossining because Ossining is so hilly and has such rugged terrain that it's just about the only level north-south route there is, even more so than Route 9. So they use it all the time, and the police bikes love it because police bikes are heavy, we carry a lot of gear. Getting north-south in the village is always difficult, so we use the aqueduct all the time on the police bikes, especially at night. So it's been good for us that way. Like I was saying, I used it, we used to use it years ago. We'd go down at midnight, get off the 4 to 12 tours, and get on mountain bikes and ride down to Sleepy Hollow High School and back through the cemetery. But it was always safe, and it was level, and we knew there weren't going to be any cars on it, so we didn't care. And it was always fun. That was great. And that one time, I was riding my mountain bike down there, and Khalid Kanuchi, who at the time was the world record holder in the marathon, who lived in Ossining at the time and trained locally, passed me on the aqueduct on foot while I was on my bicycle. I was pretty hurt by that. I think I yelled at him or something, but he blew my doors off, and I was riding a bicycle at the time. But he used to run on it all the time. And that, and combined with the Rockville State Park, where a lot of people run at the time, it hooks up to the aqueduct at that same place. But the aqueduct's great, and as I was saying, years ago, the only time they opened up the aqueduct, and the only time most people in Ossining got an opportunity to see it, was during the village fair, which is the second Saturday in June. And the cops used to love going out to the weir chamber because it's usually blazing hot for some bizarre reason, and the weir chamber is always really cool. So we'd go down there and cool off, and my first year here, one of the things they wanted me to do was, since I was a junior patrolman, was check the aqueduct to make sure no kids were down there before we closed the weir chamber. Unfortunately, when I walked to the south, it was a couple of 100 yards to the gate, and by the time I turned around, it was a pinpoint of light, and I am claustrophobic on the best of days, and it was quite the experience getting back out of the aqueduct. I had never volunteered for that again. That was tough. Years later, not too long ago, we're having an ongoing issue. People are assaulting and robbing our day laborers. Most of Ossining now, Ossining is traditionally an immigrant community, always has been. And our current immigrant group is Ecuadorians from the province of Azuay in southern Ecuador around Cuenca and Huron. And we have a lot of folks here who are day laborers, and unfortunately, and nothing new with immigrants, people preyed on them and robbed them. And because there's a language barrier, we always had an issue. It was so violent because there could be no demand for money. They just start beating them up and taking their money. And we had a difficult time getting people to come forward. We had a difficult time people following through with prosecution because they couldn't miss work. So what we did was we put our own officers out there dressed as day laborers, and then we put the SWAT team next to them. And when they came by and mugged the police officer, we'd arrest them. And then it got out that, hey, some of these people we think are victims are actually police officers, and we cut down on the crime. But what we did was we went and decided we were going to do it right outside the weir chamber. So we took our officer and we dressed him up as a day laborer, and we put him out there sitting on the aqueduct. Inside the weir chamber, we lined up the entire SWAT team inside that door. and we had the two sergeants standing on a stool looking out through the sill, the transom that's open above the door, watching our guy to make sure that when it happened, there'd be no problem. What they didn't know was that the aqueduct at that point is filled with bats, and there's a ventilation hole on top of the weir chamber. So as they were sitting there in complete darkness, what they later found out was a bat was flying between them, circling around, coming back through the vent hole and flying between them again. And they kept thinking that they were speaking to each other. So they hear, whoosh, hey, what? Oh, I didn't say anything. And they hear, whoosh, was that you? No, that wasn't me. And then they realized that there were bats flying between them through the transom. They decided to go to another location and do better with it. They all piled out of there in an awful hurry. So, I mean, the aqueduct is something we use and think about on a daily basis. I'm not so sure many people think of it in its historical context, but it's just like an old road in Ossining, an old level road in Ossining, that people unfortunately take for granted and are used tremendously by the cyclists and the runners and the walkers and things like that. And it doesn't take much to look at it and see that it is, worn ground. I was saying before, we run a 5K race on it today. We start right there at the double arch, run north, 2.5K and back, and it's always a lot of fun. Originally, we used to give bricks to the people who won the races, so that was a lot of fun.